Lord Shiva's hand is on my head, man. He's there with me. I used to think about him then, and I used to think about him in jail. I'm basically a very shy kind of a person, aloof kind of a guy, especially with women. There's no better high in life than your mother and father or your family, your brother, sister. There's no better high than work. With my folded hands, I request them all. Is that release that cure for cancer so that a lot of lives can be saved. So, everybody hopes every minute for something. Stop hoping, yeah. And everything will come to you. Because the day I stopped hoping, next thing I knew I was out of jail.
This one's a conversation I've looked forward to for my entire life. Didn't get too much time with Sanjay Dutt, sir. He was busy on the day that we shot, but he promised me that he's going to come back on the show and give us an even longer extended conversation. In saying that, I do recommend you watch this one till the end. It's powerful, it's got lots of lessons, and it's got an insight into Sanjay Dutt's mind, unlike anything that you've heard of or seen of before. Remember to follow TRS on Spotify. We're a Spotify exclusive, which means that every episode's available on Spotify 48 hours before it's available anywhere else in the world. This is Sanjay Dutt for the first time on the Ranveer Show. Sanjay, so welcome to the Ranveer Show.
Thank you, Ranveer.
How are you feeling?
Feeling great, yeah.
This has been like something on my bucket list, not just since I started the podcast, probably before that. I just always wanted to have a conversation with you. I used to pray to God that I want to get to know this person.
Thank
I
you.
don't know why. There was just something very intriguing about you. But when you look back at your own life, do you like look at it as intriguing? Like how would you describe your own life till this point?
My life is, I think it's been a roller coaster ride. And I wouldn't want that for any young guys to go through that kind of a life, I don't want them to feel that, wow, what a life. It's not wow. It's it's difficult life to be like that. But as you said, the man from Kailash Parvat is always looking over me, and he always comes and rescues me from any circumstances.
The older you get, do you think of Shiva and God more?
I've always been Shiva's Bhakt right from the beginning. I think he's my father, he's my mother, he's Shiva. I love him.
What is it for you, sir? What is Shiva?
Shiva is my anchor, Shiva is my pillar, Shiva is me, Shiva is the universe. And I'm part of it.
How did this begin? Is this from your dad?
Not from my dad, it's been my own journey with him.
Since you were a kid?
Since I was a kid, yeah, I always connected with Lord Shiva.
Do you talk to your kids about it?
Yeah, they know. They know about it.
What's your zone with your kids? Like, there's a lot of happiness when you talk about them.
Yeah, man, I really love spending time with them. And I couldn't do it with Richara, which is a sad part, but we had our own reasons and everything. But I didn't want to miss that with these guys. I just want to be there and see them grow. And I'm so happy seeing them grow up, It's beautiful.
So, with podcasting, first of all, I'm glad. I think this is your first podcast.
Yeah.
So, what have you made of podcasting till this point?
यार हम लोग वो ओल्ड स्कूल वाले हैं तो हम लोग इंटरव्यू ये वो पॉडकास्ट तो इवन राइट नाउ आई कांट अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इट इज
What do you think it is?
अभी पता नहीं क्या इंटरव्यू ही चल रहा है लगता है मेरे को
I'll repeat this question towards the end. Then you tell me.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So with podcasting, it's a deep dive for the podcaster into someone else's mind. I think how God has given you this ability to have swag. You know how when you walk, I was just observing you walking in, and it's an iconic walk. You're an iconic person. I feel that's God-gifted ability. Any ability you're given in your life, be it acting, be it your physique, be it swag, it's always given to you by something. I feel what was given to me was the ability to connect with other human beings. And great, I'm making money off it now. No, but my point is, with podcasting, there are these certain questions you ask which allow you to get to know the other person very deeply. And this answers my, a decade-long quest to have a conversation with you. I'll get to know you. I'd like to ask you one intense question, which is that, say, if Yamraj came today and told you, okay, now it's your time to go. but you can only pass on one moral to your kids, what would that moral be?
Always be humble in life.
Humility?
Humility.
Why do you say that?
I think that is one quality which is difficult, plus it is beautiful. Plus, I think it's just beautiful to be humble. I mean, it's one of the most beautiful things is humility. And to know if you've done wrong in your life. Admit. गलती हो गई है यार. You know, which are difficult things to do, but I think I do it. So I want to pass that on to them.
Yeah. Can I be very honest with you about one thing?
Yeah.
And if you're not comfortable with it, we won't talk, okay? But, there are a lot of people who will make assumptions about anyone from the media industry. The moment you're out there as a public figure, there's assumptions made about you. And I can't even imagine what you've been through over the years. I'm sure you also made mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes and we're human. What I don't like about the times we live in is people kind of just focus on the past mistakes without focusing on anything else that's happened in life. But every human being needs to be given the ability to realize, that this thing I could have done different in my past, vagera. So do you look back at your life as grey? Like early on in this conversation, you said that I wish, people don't have to go through what I went through. Could you talk a little bit about like the dark aspects of life as well, like whatever you've seen?
Well, I mean, it was whether it was my drugs or the jail term or the cancer thing or anything, it's always been some kind of
Roller coaster,
some kind of darkness. But it's not that I've regretted it. I've learned from it. You see, I mean, मैं कभी ये नहीं बोलूँगा कि यार मेरे साथ क्यों हुआ बेचारा, ये मेरे साथ क्यों हो रहा है. अरे क्यों हो रहा है मतलब क्या मतलब है यार. हो गया है ना. How do you face it? How do you get out of it? That is the battle, Yeah. I've never been a bichara about myself. But it's always been that ride which is, all I can say is that you got to learn from whatever you go through in life.
Was humility your lesson? That's why you say humility?
Humility is very important. No, forgiveness is very important.
Forgiveness?
Yes. But it's difficult. It's difficult, yeah. Somebody has gone after you and you say, I forgive you. I mean, you are a greater person than anybody. I think that's where Lord Shiva comes in.
I feel you. And it's something I'm trying to learn early on in life also. I feel to some degree, if you're not harming other people's professional careers, professional grudges are okay if you use them as motivation. But if it ever turns into a personal grudge, where as a person you wish bad for someone, that wish bad is going to turn and harm you on the inside anyway. And I don't know, just life kind of is trying to teach me that lately. So I connect a lot with what you said about forgiveness. But let's talk about the phases. I think you when I asked you about darkness, you mentioned drugs, you mentioned jail, and you mentioned the cancer that you went through recently. I would love to hear each of those phases because that's the joy of podcasting, honestly.
But drugs, what do you want to know about?
Okay, let's talk about pre-drugs. What made you get into it?
I think it was just to be in the scene.
To be cool?
Yeah, to be cool, to be in the scene, to be accepted, and all that stuff. I'm basically a very shy kind of a person.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm quite a shy, aloof kind of a guy, especially with women. So anyway, so I mean, it was the cool thing to be in it, and then you do it, then you become a cooler guy with the ladies, and you talk to them, and all that stuff.
But you also have very bhaiyon ka bhai energy.
That is bhaiyon ka bhai is with the brothers, no?
Okay. Will you give me a bhaiyon ka bhai energy on this one?
Yeah, there is already going on.
Yeah,
there's already going on, but then it started like that. But then one or two or three out of every 10 people is an addict. Whether it's addiction to food or gambling or whatever it is. So I was one of those 10, one of those few people.
I just want to tell you, even I've gone through alcoholism, where I went for some sort of help for that. And I've had a very intense marijuana phase also. I'm very in a dharmic zone in life. I've spoken about it on the channel. So I do connect with what you're saying.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't do all the things you did, and I would like to hear about them, just so to understand what you learned from it.
Well, See, I went into some real hardcore kind of drug abuse. I mean, it wasn't just marijuana or alcohol. It was heroin and it was cocaine. It was uppers. It was downers. It was quaaludes. It was everything possible. It was like when I was taken to rehab in Miami, they gave me a list of what kind of drugs I'd done, and I ticked every one of them. So, I mean, it was a very crazy ride. And I think it's just our upbringing and all about my father, mother used to feed me that I survived that. Otherwise, the doctor said it's impossible. Any guy can do this kind of stuff and survive. And but I had to get out of it, and I got out of it. But smoking a joint and all that stuff. I mean, today it's all legal
And
all over.
mainstream.
Cannabis, and it's in America. People are smoking cannabis and everything like that. But I can't do it because I've got that addiction problem.
Addictive personality disorder.
Yes,
Yes. Yeah, same. Even
same.
I've been
Yeah. So
diagnosed with it.
even you can't do it.
Yeah. It happens with video games a lot nowadays to people. Like if you have
I
addictive
know.
personality disorder, you can go
You
down
go,
a
okay. Oh,
king of
really?
video games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it is the same thing, like it's releasing dopamine.
Right.
Those
Right.
systems are a little different for people
Right.
like you and me.
Right.
Little naughty question, but what was your favorite when you were doing all these
Yeah.
substances?
Everything was favorite. I mean, cocaine was favorite. Heroin was favorite. Then heroin I used to go.
What do cocaine and heroin feel like?
Coke is an upper. Yeah. It gets you to talking to ladies, and you're one of the guys in the crowd and everything. Heroin is a downer, so you get winkies. We used to call them winkies. So to stop getting winkies, you got to do cocaine to stay awake. Then when you're too awake, you got to do heroin to go down. So it's up and down and it's up and down. So it's crazy stuff.
What did it do to your body and mind?
It just mind, thank God, is intact, but body, thank God, is intact too. Yeah, I mean,
You feel the effects today?
I didn't, but after I came back from rehab, I used to. The effects lasted for about 4 years. So I used to call up in my rehab. I used to ask them. So they were called flashbacks. Okay, so what happens is that whatever the body can absorb, it absorbs and releases the high. But what it can't, the fat content keeps in the body. So it stores in the fat of your body. So what used to happen, I came back from rehab, I was doing NAM. And if I'm just talking to you and suddenly I used to feel as if, "Arey, why am I buzzing, man?" So I used to wonder. I used to be tripping, man. And so I didn't understand it 2 3 times. So I called up my rehab, and they said that these are the deposits in the fat which are released, which you're getting this high. It will go away in some time.
Wow. Okay. While I have so many more questions, feel when we touch upon drug abuse as a subject, it's too important to talk about rehab and getting out of it as well. According to me, especially on the internet, you should never just put out conversations about drugs. Let's talk about the bounce back. Let's talk about Har Maidan Fateh. By the way, when I saw Sanju, that's what I took away, the song and that sequence, the way it was shot. For me, I don't care what people are saying. I gained some value out of Sanju for sure. I'd like to actually know about Har Maidan Fateh ka, that phase of your life from you, when you're fighting it, when you're actually feeling like doing more of it. And I'll tell you why I want to know it. Because I actually wrote it on my office board to get myself out of my last few addictions in my life. Because I was on this dharmic zone. I couldn't stop cannabis at that point. And it was affecting my relationships. Mum didn't approve of it, obviously. And I wrote Har Maidan Fateh, took his photo and made my wallpaper. And I drew like a sort of stick figure Sanjay Dutt. It's a very stupid thing. I did this at 24, 25. But still, sir, my question is, what was the bounce back like from your perspective? How did you get out of it?
Well, I had to make up my mind. Number one. Number two is that what happens when you're into intense drug addiction? You get into a kind of a cocoon or shell. You become a loner. You become alone. You don't want people around you. So I had become like that, and it. I was a very hard nut to crack there in school in the rehab center. I was there for 2 years, which is very rare. I just couldn't accept the fact that I was a drug addict or stuff like that. So I mean, I started realizing that there is so much more to life because There were 30 girls and 40 boys there. And it was up in the bayou country, in the swamps of Jackson, Mississippi. And we used to go out, we used to go boating, we used to go barbecuing, and we used to do so much of fun stuff. And I started realizing is that this is what life is, and why was I missing that? Yeah, that 10 years of my life I was in my room or in the bathroom or hiding, even not interested in shoots, stuff like that. This is what life is, and this is what I want to be. And that is how everything changed for me.
What's your advice to a kid who's dealing with drug addiction right now?
I feel that, listen, man, I mean, there's no better high in life than what life is. There's no better high in life than your mother and father or your family, your brother, sister. There's no better high than work. There's no better high than all this. So, I mean, these things are just escapism. And I think if you guys are men and if you guys are strong, face that whatever problems you have in your life, head on.
Yeah. And we spoke about addictive personality disorder. It's something you're diagnosed with by a psychologist, by a professional. The good thing about addictive personality disorder is that a lot of drug addicts have it, but you can turn it into something very positive.
I know.
Like even in Sanju, I think they showed that phase where Ranveer Kapoor starts working out. You started working out. That's what you can use it in. You can use it in workouts. You can use it in your career, in your spiritual growth. You can use it in these things to build positive habits. You want to talk about that phase where the bounce back started?
When I came back, so people used to say, hey, Charsi, and all that stuff. So I said, yaar, ye galat hai bahut. People on the road are saying that. Kuch karna padega. Then I went and started working out. And I just wanted to break through that. And then slowly, there's from Charsi, it became something else.
What did it become?
Became a guy with a swag and this and kya body hai and all that stuff, So, I mean, it's like that. You got to beat it.
Yeah, 100%. Do you know what the word Providence means?
What?
Providence is a very important term for a lot of humans to get to know. That's a very important term to put out on the internet as well. It means that as you go through life, there are moments and situations and people who just get attracted into your life, which are meant to be there to help you. So, for example, especially in the moments of your life where you're finding a lot of difficulty or trouble, or it could even be overthinking on a particular day or bad thoughts on a particular day, you feel like God's massive giant hand has come into your life and is like cleaning up things and helping you out. When I saw the movie, that's what I noticed about Munna Bhai MBBS. That it was a big element of providence in your life also. Okay. And I know we've skipped a phase and we're directly talking about this. But do you think of this concept of providence a lot where you're helped by God suddenly, like Shiva?
Of course, he's always helping me. I didn't know it was called Providence. But definitely Lord Shiva's hand is on my head, man. He's there with me. He's always picking me up. He's always making me stronger. He's there.
You used to think about Shiva in your drug addiction phase also?
I used to think about him then, and I used to think about him in jail. I read the Shiv Puranas. I've gone through those books.
What did you gain from Shiv Puranas?
I gained his power. I gained his humility. I gained his knowledge. There's so much which he said. I mean, I remember when he was getting married. King Himalaya's daughter. And that was the first time Parvati ji's mom saw him. Jhatadari, with all the goblins, with all the ghosts with him, skulls around his neck. And she said, yeah, he's my son-in-law. She fainted only. So all the devtas went and they said, Maharaj, he's saying, but this is what I am. So that is what he is.
I see the relatability for you also. When people are pointing fingers at you. I think they pointed fingers at you all your life.
I mean, people who are judgmental, good judges and bad. I love the good ones and I love the bad ones even more.
Because it helps you improve?
Because yes.
See, this is what people need to understand about lives like yours. Like that if improvement is the central theme, that's all that matters. Because that's what the meaning of human life is. That you move on from your mistakes. You learn from your mistakes. You spoke about jail a lot even while you and me were talking about drugs, sir. What did jail do to you as a man when you're sitting there?
Well, I'll tell you, I've always been humble, but it did not break me कि जमीन पे खाना खाना पड़ता है, जमीन पे सोना पड़ता है, and all that. And that was I've done all that stuff in boarding school. So people thought it'll break me, it didn't. But I think in jail you got to take it in your flow. And पहले तो I तो request the government के jail manual बदल ले. I request them with folded hands. ये 100 साल पुराना जेल मैनुअल अभी तक चल रहा है. That was meant for the British. It's not for an Indian citizen. But I mean, yes, you have to go with the flow. You have to do things. You have to learn things. I learned gardening. I learned how to make paper bags. I learned
Shiv
how to wash
Purans.
my room. I learned how to have a cold shower. I learned to work out there, with baltiyon ke saath, with free hand workouts, boxing, running in my yard. So I mean, you got to do that. And I read a lot. As I said, I read the Ramayana. I read the Shiv Puran, the Ganesh Puran. I read books, which mattered.
Did you have any sort of pity on yourself?
Pity.
On yourself?
नहीं यार होता है कभी कभी यार ये वो बट देन आई गॉट टू ब्रेक थ्रू दैट देयर इज नो पिटी यू कांट पिटी योरसेल्फ यू गॉट टू बी अ फाइटर you know there one हवलदार दिलीप दादा who told me he's saying संजू बाबा एक चीज बोलो क्या ऐसे ना दादा बोला ना तो he's saying ये उम्मीद है ना ये उम्मीद करना छोड़ दो यार तो आई सेड उम्मीद कैसे छोड़ दो लेकिन he's saying होप होता है ना होप बंद करो तो आई सेड व्हाट डू यू मीन यार आई थॉट अबाउट इट So, everybody hopes every minute for something. Every minute. I hope my interview goes well. I hope, I get good money today. I hope everything is fine. It's hope all the time. He's telling me to disconnect from hope. And he says, you won't realize when your time will go in the jail. I said, yeah, Umid. I tried and I tried and I tried. I'm telling you, it took me about 2-3 months. I just stopped hoping. I hope my wife will come. I hope कुछ हो जाए government में I get relief. I stopped that. And that was one of the biggest lessons for me, which I want to tell the people who are hearing this. Is that stop hoping, yeah. And everything will come to you. Because the day I stopped hoping, the next thing I knew I was out of jail. And I carried that on till today in my life. I stopped hoping.
As the Buddha says, expectations are the source of all suffering.
Yeah.
Same logic.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the third phase and probably the final part of this conversation. While I want to talk to you, and I totally understand there's a time constraint today, we will continue this conversation.
Yes, we have to, yes.
But I would like to hear about cancer because that happened later on in life. After you've seen like this roller coaster of a life, then cancer happens. What does cancer feel like on the inside, especially mentally?
I wish this disease didn't exist for not only me, but for a lot of people who suffer from it and who can't afford to be treated. And I know somewhere out there in these pharma companies, they have a cure for this, but they don't release it. And today, sitting here, I wish they can all hear it. With my folded hands, I request them all is that release that cure for cancer so that a lot of lives can be saved.
And everything's not about money and greed.
You made enough money out of it. You've made enough money out of it. But yes, it was a normal day in the lockdown. And I walked up the steps and I was totally out of breath. I had a bath, I couldn't breathe. I didn't know what was happening and I called up my doctor. In the x-ray, my lungs were more than half covered in water. So they had to tap the water out and they all were hoping that it was TB. But it turned out to be cancer. Now, how to break it to me? That was a big issue. I could have broken somebody's face. So my sister came and told me. I said, okay, I got cancer. Now what? So now then you start planning things and ye karenge, wo, ye hoga, wo. But I did. I did cry for about 2-3 hours because I was thinking of my kids and my life and my wife and my everything. Just these flashes come. And I said I got to stop getting weak. तो ना डिसाइडेड तो पहले तो वीज़ा नहीं मिला फिर आई जस्ट सेड कि यहीं कर लो यार एंड थैंक्स टू डॉक्टर सेवंती शी इज़ वन ऑफ द मोस्ट ब्रिलियंट डॉक्टर्स आई वाज recommended by राकेश रोशन साहब to meet her and she met me and the next thing I knew I was on chemotherapy but they told me कि ऐसा होगा बाल गिरेंगे ये होगा वॉमिटिंग होगी ये होगा वो होगा and I just looked at her and I said मेरे को कुछ नहीं होगा ना बाल झड़ेंगे ना वॉमिटिंग होगी ना कुछ होगा ना मैं बिस्तर पे लेटूंगा ना कुछ होगा मेरे को and she kind of smiled and I did the chemotherapy and I came back and I sat on that bike for 1 hour and I cycled and I did that every day and every day and every day and after every chemo I did that I mean it was crazy. I used to go do chemo in Dubai. I used to go into the badminton courts and play 2-3 hours every day. That is how you got to challenge this thing. Now today I've been 2 months. I've been in the gym. I've lost nice weight.
You look good.
Yeah, getting my muscle back, getting to be my old self. That Sanjay Dutt. I want to be that Sanjay Dutt back. I'd let myself go.
Yeah. Do you
Now
meditate?
I won't.
Do you meditate, sir?
I'm too impatient to meditate. वो पेशेंस नहीं है यार वो आँख बंद करना है मतलब सब.
This would go on a very long tangent in the conversation, which we'll do the next time.
Yeah.
What I appreciate about you is how openly you talk. I've not had someone of your stature talk so openly to me ever. And you're so transparent with things. That's what I genuinely from my heart I appreciate.
Thank you.
Many more questions for you. I want to get to know you much more deeply, sir. But jitna I've got to know you today, it's enough. It's a good start. I think you also got to know what a podcast is.
Yeah.
What is a podcast for you?
I enjoyed it, man. It's just a casual conversation, man.
Yeah.
Very nice. I loved it. Yeah.
No, 100%.
Nice. Yeah.
Lots to learn from you.
Thank you.
Thanks for Munna Bhai MBBS. Thanks for all the memories.
Thanks.
But above all, thanks for opening up your heart here, sir. Because I think it's from the grey lives and people's mistakes that the next generation really gets to absorb the best.
Absolutely.
So I think you've done something good for a lot of kids who are going through a lot right now.
I hope I have.
Any signing off note for kids listening to this?
All I can say is that be strong, listen to your parents, study hard, stay away from drugs, and please don't follow my life because it's not a heroic life. It's difficult. So learn from it, but please don't follow it.
And how do you get swag like Sanjay Dutt?
That's natural here. God is giving it.
Cool. You're a great guy.
Thanks,
You're a clean-hearted person, and I wish you the best. I wish more of that Shiva energy comes into your life every single day. Thank you,
Thanks.
sir. So that was the episode for today. Speaking of Sanjay Dutt, was one of the most chilled out experiences, honestly. When we went to shoot, it was a Sunday. He was in the middle of promoting KGF 2, and he gave us this slot for our podcast. He just has a very relaxed vibe about him. No air, no arrogance, very bhaiyon ka bhai energy. And I love that he opened up so much on the show. Before the recording, he was telling me about all his adventures on his travels, his love for animals. And I feel there's so much depth inside him that this simple short episode couldn't bring out. I do intend on bringing it out through another episode. So for more conversations like this, remember to follow TRS on Spotify. Every episode's available on Spotify 48 hours before it's available anywhere else in the world. Sanjay Dutt will be returning very soon on The Ranveer Show. Thank you for listening.